What if I told you that the most famous shipwreck in history was actually a perfectly planned crime? We all know the story, the unsinkable ship, the Iceberg, the tragedy. But evidence suggests that the ship lying at the bottom of the Atlantic might not be the Titanic at all. Rumors have persisted for 100 years that the ship was switched, with its damaged sister ship, the RMS Olympic, a massive insurance fraud that turned into mass murder. And the man behind it? The owner of the ship, J.P. Morgan. He was supposed to be on that maiden voyage, but hours before departure, he canceled his ticket. He took his expensive art collection off the ship. Did he know it was going to sink? Welcome to Off the Atlas. Today, we expose the lie of the century. To understand the crime, we have to go back 6 months before the disaster. The White Star Line had launched the first of the 3 super ships, the RMS Olympic. It was the pride of the fleet. But on September 20th, 1911, disaster struck. The Olympic collided violently with a British warship, the HMS Hawke. The damage was catastrophic. The Olympic's hull was pierced, and its keel was twisted. It was essentially a broken ship. But here is the problem. The inquiry found the Olympic at fault. That meant no insurance money. The White Star Line was facing bankruptcy, so they hatched a desperate plan. Why not patch up the broken Olympic, swap the nameplates, and send it out as the new Titanic? If it sank, they could claim the full insurance value of a brand new ship and get rid of the broken one forever. But the most damning evidence is right in front of your eyes. You just need to count. Look at the windows on the sea deck. The real Titanic was designed with 14 evenly spaced portholes. The Olympic, however, had 16 unevenly spaced portholes. Now, look at the photos of the ship that left Southampton on its final voyage. Count them. 1, 2, all the way to 16. It had the exact same window configuration as the Olympic, not the Titanic. And then there is the list. Because of the accident with the HMS Hawke, the Olympic had a permanent tilt to the left. It could never sail perfectly straight again. Multiple survivors testified that the Titanic was leaning to the left, long before it ever hit an iceberg. Why would a brand new ship be broken before it started? But the switch wasn't just about insurance money. Many believe it was a targeted assassination. Who was on board that ship? John Jacob Astor IV, Benjamin Guggenheim, and Isidor Straus. These were the 3 wealthiest men in the world at that time. Their combined fortune could buy entire countries. But they had one thing in common. They were the main obstacles, standing in the way of the creation of the Federal Reserve Bank. The man who wanted to create that bank was J.P. Morgan, the owner of the Titanic. Remember? Morgan canceled his trip at the last minute, but his 3 rivals did not. They went down with the ship. Their frozen bodies were never recovered, with his enemies gone. Morgan's path was clear. Exactly 1 year after the Titanic sank, the Federal Reserve was created. Was the sinking of the Titanic actually a trap to kill the opposition? But the plan wasn't to kill everyone. It was supposed to be a controlled sinking. That is why another ship was parked nearby, waiting in the darkness. The SS Californian. Records show that the Californian was stopped in the ice field less than 20 miles away from the Titanic. Curiously, it carried no passengers and almost no cargo. Instead, it was loaded with 3,000 wool blankets and massive amounts of coal. It was the perfect rescue vessel. But something went wrong. The crew of the Titanic fired distress rockets, white rockets. But the captain of the Californian ignored them. He thought they were having a party. The rescue ship sat idle, watching the lights of the Titanic disappear into the freezing water. When they finally arrived the next morning, 1,500 people were dead. In 1985, Robert Ballard finally discovered the wreck, but as cameras explored the sunken hull, researchers noticed something strange on the side of the ship. The paint where the name Titanic was written had rusted away, and underneath the letters T and A, faint outlines of other letters were visible, specifically the letters M and P. Only one ship had those letters in its name, the Olympic. J.P. Morgan died a year later in his sleep, the richest man in the world. The insurance money was paid in full, and the Federal Reserve controls the economy to this day. Was it an accident, or was it the perfect crime? We may never know the full truth, but the evidence lies at the bottom of the Atlantic. If you want to question history with us, subscribe to Off the Atlas.